In a constantly changing, and often collapsing, world, physical survival is usually the focus of manuals, training, and debates. However, the true battle often takes place within the mind. Fear, paranoia, extreme stress, anxiety, insomnia, guilt, disorientation, all are invisible enemies that can destroy a survivor long before hunger or violence. Knowing how to maintain mental sanity amid chaos is not just useful, it's vital. This video is a complete guide on how to preserve your psychological balance in extreme scenarios: civil collapse, wars, natural disasters, pandemics, total blackout, political persecution, prolonged isolation, and more. 1. Understanding psychological collapse. What happens to the mind during severe crises? When chaos dominates, the brain switches into survival mode. This includes continuous release of cortisol and adrenaline, interruption of deep sleep, REM sleep, difficulty making decisions, hypervigilance and chronic stress, anxiety and mental confusion, dissociation and memory blackouts. This condition leads to what we call psychological combat fatigue, even when there is no direct confrontation. Keeping the mind functional under such circumstances requires strategy. 2. Establishing structure amid chaos. The importance of routine. Even in extreme scenarios, creating a simple routine helps the brain recognize patterns and organize itself. This reduces the sense of disorder and unpredictability. Example of a minimal crisis routine. Wake up according to sunlight. Physical and space cleaning. Environmental and risk assessment. Physical activity, even light. Scheduled meals. Moment of reflection or silence. Fixed bedtime ritual. Divide time into blocks. Breaking the day into blocks of tasks prevents the mind from wandering into destructive thoughts. Focusing on the now reduces panic. 3. Emotional shielding and self-control. Techniques to prevent emotional collapse. Conscious breathing, box breathing: inhale 4s, hold 4s, exhale 4s, hold 4s. Mindfulness, focus on sounds, objects, and smells around you, it anchors the mind. Journaling, writing releases suppressed tension. Silent mantras, simple phrases like "I am here, I am safe for now" help calm you down. Controlling anger and impulses. Avoid decisions made in anger. Attacks, confrontations, and judgments under extreme stress usually bring irreversible consequences. 4. The importance of realistic hope. The difference between blind optimism and strategic hope. Realistic hope is not believing things will get better, but knowing that even in the worst scenario, there are actions you can take. This restores a sense of control and prevents apathy. Example: the city has collapsed, but I can still move, collect water, protect my family. There's something I can do. Positive reinforcement techniques. Celebrate small victories, obtaining water, improvising a tool, going a day without being found. Share stories with your group. Remember why you want to survive: children, freedom, faith, legacy, etc. 5. Isolation versus human connection. The risks of prolonged isolation. Extreme loneliness can cause auditory/visual hallucinations, loss of sense of time, suicidal thoughts, breakdown of identity. How to maintain connections, even at risk. Form microcommunities of trust. Establish silent communication codes. Exchange resources through quick, discreet interactions. Keep written records or recordings with messages of hope, even without a recipient. It anchors your identity and purpose. 6. Protection against toxic information. The overload of destructive information. In crises, rumors, violent images, pessimistic predictions, and terrifying reports are abundant. Filtering information is essential. Tactics: limit exposure, avoid listening to traumatic reports repeatedly. Check usefulness: is the information practical or just panic-inducing? Create information-free moments for a few hours each day. Mental decompression practices. Walk silently. Listen to natural sounds or simulations, water, wind. Short meditation. Lie down in darkness for 15 minutes without stimuli. 7. Spirituality and existential meaning. The power of spirituality in extreme situations. In wars, collapses, and catastrophes, those with faith, beliefs, or a spiritual purpose tend to endure suffering better. It doesn't matter whether spirituality is religious, philosophical, or personal, what matters is having an inner axis. Examples: praying, meditating, repeating verses or mantras. Carrying a symbol of protection. Creating a simple ritual of gratitude for life. 8. Caring for the group's mental health. How to lead emotionally during crises. If you are a leader or reference figure, your emotional stability influences the group. Be calm, direct, honest, and hopeful. Do not hide harsh truths, but convey that there are ways forward. Watch for signs of psychological collapse, apathy, tremors, aggression, neglect of hygiene. Collective sanity practices. Controlled conversations at the end of the day. Brief moments of humor or shared good memories. Singing, praying, or maintaining a small resistance ritual. 9. When to seek psychological help, even in collapse. Even without access to psychologists, there are ways to seek support. Support groups, 2 or 3 trusted people. Active listening practices, allowing others to speak without judgment. Emergency psychology, basic listening, decompression, and empathy techniques. 10. Mental tools of a survivalist. Keep a mental survival kit containing phrases of strength, skills you trust, making fire, navigation, improvisation, memories of past resilience, symbols of personal resistance. Conclusion: to survive is, above all, to remain whole inside. Sanity is the survivor's last fortress. When everything collapses, technology, power, systems, morality, what remains is your mind. Keeping it sane, functional, and resilient is the key to facing any crisis. Survival is not just about keeping the body alive, it's about protecting your identity, purpose, and clarity amid chaos. Be discreet, vigilant, skilled, but also human, steady, and conscious. In dark times, those who remain lucid become a beacon. Fight for your mind. It is your greatest weapon. And remember, always be prepared.